Hello, and welcome to Insightful Conversations with your host, Three Principles practitioner, Adey-Jones. Join her each week as she welcomes some of the world's leading Three Principles teachers and practitioners who share how this understanding has dramatically improved the quality of their lives and the lives of those they work with.
I'm very excited to have Lana Bastianutti and Linda Ford with me today. Lana is a certified life coach and author who for the last 10 years has helped her clients move beyond insecurity by helping them understand what is truly coming between the freedom they desire and the limitations they feel. Linda is a certified master coach and author. Her work centers around helping people feel more comfortable in their own skin, to know their worth, and to be seen and heard so that the goals and dreams they have for their life can find full expression in the world. Linda and Lana have co-authored their first book, Women and Confidence, The Truth About the Lies We Tell Ourselves, and they're also the co-creators of an online program, Confidence in the Box. If I'm so smart, then why don't I feel confidence? Their latest project is a much anticipated online program called The Confident Coach, How to Have More Impact and Change the World. Welcome, ladies. I have to say, I can already tell. It's like last time we were together, it felt like a girls' night out, and it already.
Oh yeah.
It feels the same today. So I'm thrilled to have you here. I really am. I love your energy. I love what you're doing in the world, and I would love actually to hear about. I mean, you were coaching for years before you came across the understanding of the principles, but I would love to hear what led you to them and how they impacted your life both personally and professionally. So you can fight it, Emma.
Go for it, Lana. Oh, good Lord. Okay. Okay. So yeah, as you said, I was trained as a traditional coach. So very cognitive, very, we understood how thoughts and feelings were related to each other. And the difference is, like, we tried to change our thinking. Like, you'd always try to change it to make yourself feel better. And that was great, but I could tell within myself I was holding back. There was something about this that did not feel complete to me, because I kept wondering, well, why am I still having these insecure feelings? Like, shouldn't I just be over this now? And the other thing was, I thought, really, I have to do the work every single day and just do worksheet and worksheet and worksheet. And I just thought, there's got to be something I'm missing here. There has to be an easier way to live life, or an understanding that I'm just not seeing, because I could see in my own kids when they were little, they just floated through life. They moved through life. Nothing was sort of sticky on them. And so that's how eventually I came across the understanding that we talk about. And I think it was a Michael Neal. I mean, isn't it always a Michael Neal book? It was a Michael Neal book. Maybe it was Inside Out Revolution. And I read that and I went, uh-oh, what is this? And I immediately looked up Pransky's, because they were referenced, and they happened to be having a retreat a couple months from that point. And so I went to the retreat. And as I say, I was like a deer in headlights for the entire retreat, because I was still sort of with my cognitive mind and my academic training, because I had the psychology in my background as well. And I was sitting there, and everybody else seemed so easygoing, like, oh, yes, I get it. And I remember one lady was knitting beside me, and I was like, you really should be taking notes. Like,
I know who that is. That's Molly.
Yes, it was Molly. And I just couldn't get it. I was like, how is she just knitting here? How does she absorb this? And then, over time, the ball dropped, and I got it. I saw that it was so different, because instead of digging into the content of our thinking and trying to change that, it was understanding, oh, this is how the mind works. We're feeling our thinking. It's not what you think, as we say, it's that you think. And once you see that different perspective, it doesn't make sense as much to dive into the content, but rather take sort of a zoom out and see what's really going on. And so that changed everything for me. I just immersed myself in this, and my coaching changed as a result. And there was a learning curve there. There was definitely a learning curve in the beginning because I didn't quite know how to do this. And what I find now is I do also bridge the two sometimes. Sometimes, with a client, I dip back in if they're not seeing something or they're not getting the big picture. I'll dip back into sort of if they're having distortions in their thinking, I'll point that out. I'll show them. I'm like, look at all this distortion that you're thinking, and you're then experiencing your life like this. Now let's look at that. So that's kind of, it's changed everything, because even me, my parenting, everything, it's just, I get it. Linda, your turn.
Linda.
Yeah. Well, I became a coach. I actually became certified back in 2008. But, before that was a whole lifetime of self-help. It was like, because I came from a very dysfunctional family. God loved them. They were well-meaning, but they didn't know how to do life. And so when you grow up feeling, which I did, feeling like something went wrong with you, like there was something wrong because your family was weird. You can relate to this, Del.
I don't know what she's talking about.
So, when you do, it's only natural that you kind of want to gravitate towards the world of self-help, because you want to fix yourself. I was always trying to fix myself, mend myself, improve myself. And so it sounded like, it just felt like the next natural thing to do is become a certified coach, because I'd read like hundreds and hundreds of books. And so I did. And then about 6 years later, I kind of had, I tell Lana this, we both had this. It was kind of like an existential crisis in our work, because there was this moment that came where I actually had to admit to myself, does this thought work that I'm doing with myself and with my clients, is it actually working? And I can honestly say that it just, I couldn't see it. I mean, it did some good, but did it really lead to change, sustainable change in people's lives? And I'm afraid the answer for me was no. And, at best, it kind of gave us some good coping and managing skills that it was good at. And I'd have clients, they'd come, we'd have great sessions. It was like going to have a great massage, and then they'd go away, and a month later they'd come back with the same old problem, and myself included. So I had this moment around 2013 where I had to really take stock. I've always been the kind of person that wanted to confront what's really going on in life. I can't just hide, and pretend. I was never a pretender. So I had to kind of have that honest conversation. What am I going to do if it seemed so disingenuous to carry on, right? So I took a year off, and it was pretty miserable. and it was at that time, I should also say that I did my coach training with Martha Beck. She's kind of like, Oprah's coach. And that's where through that coaching world of Martha Beck, I met Adey-Jones, because Adey-Jones and we did our master coach training with Martha. And so that's how I know Amy. So all those years, I'd kind of been, hanging out with Amy, getting her newsletters. And around 2013, there was something different about Amy. She was talking in a different way, and she was looking different. She was like, it was almost like she was just coming alive, and she was more expressive. She was blossoming. And I thought, what's going on, Amy? So we had some private calls, and she would tell me about the principles. And that's when she first got into it. I think she'd been in it for a few years then. And so that was my introduction. And so we had conversations, but it was really seeing her and the change that I saw in her come alive that made me feel, I want what she's having, And so I really kind of got in with her that way. And as Lana says, it's just, the big change for me, like I always believed, always known there was a spiritual side to me, that I got. But the whole, dealing with thought and analyzing it and judging it and trying to get rid of it, it was if someone had come to me. And our first workshop, Lana, was with Dr. Ken Manning, remember? And the wonderful Robin Charbit, who you must interview, by the way. We'll talk more about that later. But that first workshop where I actually met Lana, and the great thing about it was to have those two, have a 3-day workshop with them on the principles. But to meet someone like Lana, who had actually gone through the same thing, had the same journey as me, was so wonderful. It was so reassuring. And that first workshop I ever took with them, it was as if someone had come to me and said, hey, let me just take this burden, this weight off your back, and to tell you there's nothing wrong with you. You don't have to do anything. All that thought work, you just put it aside. It was such a relief and just wonderful experience all around. So that's my story.
And that's my story too. And
yeah,
going, God, this feels really familiar. Same thing. I was coaching, and I knew in the room that I could have you feel seen and heard and understood. But I felt I was going in circles, because I was going in circles. I knew enough, but not enough to get me out of there. So I love that. Wow, isn't it amazing? It's so incredible.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Get to where we get, but all the stuff that got us to where we got, which is so wonderful too. Same as you, years and years on a spiritual path and a self-help path, but I'm just grateful for where I am today. But you wrote a fabulous book. I have it here. I read it. I bought it years ago because I was like, now when did it come out? Like a couple of years ago, yes?
Yeah. Was it 2 years ago?
The beginning of 2019. So it's coming up on 2 years now.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, it's a fabulous book.
Thank you.
I know that you do a lot of work with women and around confidence. So what was it that attracted you particularly to that? Is it mostly women you work with, or do you work with both men and women?
Mostly women, but we have a couple of stragglers. We have a few men that come in. And
Lana, mention about the person in Denmark who we thought was a woman that took our course.
I wasn't sure about the name. I thought it could go either way. I really have no idea. And then I had a coaching call with him, and he brought it up first. He said, did you think I'd be a man? I wasn't sure, but it's all the same. I mean, we're all experiencing the same thing anyway, but predominantly women. I mean, I think what it comes down to, I think everybody sort of secretly deep down, the thing that I experienced with all of my clients across the board was deep down, there was this little feeling of not quite good enough. Like I hide it underneath a lot of stuff, but I know the truth. Deep down, I'm not good enough. So that's, I think, because we both experienced that throughout our lives, and it was our secret shame, and something we were always trying to work on, that we experienced with our clients the same thing, and we thought this has got to be it, because it's no fun going through life thinking you either have to hide something, camouflage it, pretend, fake it. It's no fun when there's an easier way, when there's something that you need to see that you're just simply misunderstanding.
Let me just add to that, Del. I remember when Lana came up to my house, we were walking along the beach, and we decided we wanted to write a book. And remember this conversation, Lana? We said, we looked back on all our coaching, and the one thing we thought, what is the one thing that's always kind of been salient, that's dominated our coaching practice? And it was the realization that we'd met so many women throughout the years, brilliant, talented, smart, together, hardworking, capable, and yet they still went through life second guessing themselves, holding back, playing small, just kind of thinking they needed to have another degree or take another workshop. And so this was like common. And then we realized, hey, we're also one of them, the realization of that we also in our coaching practice prior to coming to the principles were playing small and still holding ourselves back. I mean, for me, I felt like I'd been going through life. The best way I describe it is going through life with the handbrake on. You know how when you drive your car, if you've got the handbrake on, you're moving, but you're not actually moving with any ease, right? It's a very difficult ride. Yeah. So that's what it was like. And that was the issue that we felt really compelled to address. Because when you've got a world of women who are talented and brilliant and can do so much, but who keep just going through life with that handbrake on, it's such a loss, It's such a loss. So that's what we wanted to tackle head on.
I love that because, I mean, I so relate again. And I remember my therapist used to say to me, but you present so well. Nobody would ever know what's going on behind the scenes. And it was torturous. I mean, anxiety, striving, accomplishments, more, bigger, better. I'll feel better when. And all it did was just add to the stress and so I love that. That's such an amazing thing you do. Now, do you think, can you talk a little bit about, would you say it's both society, upbringing, whatever it is, that sometimes, like some people truly do seem to have less issues around that, not feeling confident than others. What have you seen in that?
I always use sort of the example of if you were presenting some kind of presentation in class when you were a little kid, right? You're presenting in class and you're reading your thing, you're nervous, but you're reading, and then suddenly the class laughs at something you say. Now that can go a number of ways, and you just don't know what's going to stick to a kid's mind, what's going to come into their mind, because you could have a thought of, ooh, wow, that was powerful. I was able to make them laugh. That's interesting. And then sort of have part of your identity be sort of empowered by that. Like, I have the ability to make people laugh or cause people to laugh. That's really interesting. Another kid, same situation, could have a thought that goes, they're laughing at me. They know something's wrong with me. I'm deficient. I'm defective. I'm no good at this. I'm now insecure. And they start to build into their identity this insecurity. And what tends to happen is, like, those defining moments in childhood typically, is we tend to innocently start filtering out experiences that don't meet that identity. So we could do really well and be really confident in a situation, but since it doesn't match that story, we kind of filter it out. And we do a lot of black and white thinking innocently. We don't know we're doing it, but innocently we do. We're like, we're all or nothing. I'm this, not that. And so it's all very innocent. But if you don't understand what's going on, and as a kid you don't, it's very easy to kind of fall into that trap and then have it reinforced with messages you receive either from society or from parents or teachers or whoever that you kind of look up to and think, well, they know who I am. I need to listen to that. So I think it's a combination of whatever thought just happens to come in the mind and sticks for whatever reason, and the messages that we're getting in those defining moments. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Linda, do you want to?
Yeah, no, I think you said it beautifully. It's it's a combination of a whole lot of stuff, and who knows why, like Lana said, something sticks to you and something doesn't, So teachers, parents, the books you read when like I was raised on Jane Eyre, Gothic novels where there was always a man coming to rescue the woman, So it's all of that. It's just all accumulation of all of that.
Yeah, and I also think looking back over the last, sort of 70 years, women's roles have changed drastically. It's like they have to be everything.
Yeah.
Mother, wife, housekeeper, high-powered working. I mean, it's a lot. There's a lot of
It is.
the expectations, and I think we can sort of often feel that we're not achieving the highest level in all of those areas, which is, I think, almost impossible for anybody to do, quite honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and that's not all or nothing. Like,
yes,
I'm expected, this is our thinking. I'm expected to be great at all of these areas. And if one isn't great, we're like, well, I'm not great. Like we think how we feel is then who we are, and that's a misunderstanding too, but we don't know any better. So
no, I love what you're pointing to here. So I want to know, there's confidence in a box. So I imagine this sort of like, what is in that box that you point people to? It's like, if I'm so smart, why don't I feel confident? What is that program you offer?
Well, we came up with this concept of confidence in a box because we thought, well, it's a gift box. Like if you look at the picture, right, of how we promote it, it's beautiful pink box, right, with ribbon on it, gold ribbon. And the whole idea was that, there's a gift inside. And so in the same way that when there's a gift inside of a box, always, usually, typically, there's also this gift within us, that has to come out, that wants to come out rather. And so that's where the concept came from, is like, it's just let's unwrap it and see what we can discover about ourselves.
Yeah.
So within it's a whole video-based online program where we recorded all these different modules, kind of going through what is confidence, what's getting in the way, what don't you understand about it, who are you really, and sort of considerations of what you don't understand about how the mind works, how we show up in life, and what's the biggest obstacle. And then in addition to that, we did a lot of different interviews with some experts in the field, like Michael Neal and Sandy Crott, and who else did we have in there? Barb Patterson.
Yeah, Amy Johnson.
Yeah. We augmented the program with these other voices that are experts in this field. So it's like you work from home and you just work through these modules, and each module we also share our personal stories to kind of reinforce the lesson. And then we also give metaphors to try to, we try to come at it a whole bunch of different ways to have something land, something stick. So each one is a lesson. It has a personal story, it has a metaphor, and it has an interview. So it's kind of structured that way. And by the end of it, our intention is you're going to see what was in the box the whole time that you already had. So
that's what is so incredible about this understanding. I always thought, I'll be confident when, and that was the missing piece that I felt was lacking in me. And then the more that you look in this direction, one day you go, oh my God, I'm actually confident. It's like, when did that happen?
It's interesting you say that, Del, because you remember this, Lana? One of the interviews we did was with Dickon Bettinger. Mm-hmm. How could we forget to mention Dickon? And I said to him, at the end of the interview, I said, Dickon, you know something? If this was me last year, and you had have told me that I would be interviewing you for my program, mm-hmm. No way. I would have said, I would never have had the confidence to do that. Mm-hmm. And yet, here I am. Here we are, Lana and I, having this interview with you. And it was such a wonderful insight to have, to see, how you're actually doing it. You're doing the thing that you thought you were terrified of,
Exactly.
So
the same thing happened with me. I was looking at my interviews, and maybe about 6 months, and I went, oh my God.
Yeah.
Doctors you've interviewed, without even thinking. It occurred to me, it was like, oh my God, I must have become confident along the way and not even realized it. But
I was looking at the lineup of interviews you've done on your webpage, and I was just so impressed. I mean, because there was one day there was Dell that I kind of knew, and then there's Dell who's doing these amazing interviews. Yeah, it's good for you, Dell. You did it. You're doing it.
You already had it in you. You always had it in you,
I mean, it's like when I stopped chasing it, it suddenly was like, oh my God, it's here. Somehow it was already always here. So
I know. It's amazing. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it really is. It's just so anyway, so I'm so glad that people can not only have your book, but find that confidence in the box too, and see the videos and everything, and hear of all these like transformational stories. Because like you said, this is just common to all of us. We all have those parts of us that we judge as not good enough, or shame, or things like that. So
yeah, we also cover like different areas of our life. Like the book does that a lot, and the video program does too. We talk about some real honest conversations about relationships, how we lacked confidence in our relationships, in our physical body, our appearance, body image, and just where we lacked confidence as entrepreneurs, trying to get a business going, a coaching business going. So we cover all those key areas of life.
Yeah, I love that. And you're also doing the Confident Coach. And now, is that a coaching program teaching other coaches? Explain that.
Yeah, it's basically, hey, people, we've been through it.
We've been there, yeah.
Learn from all our mistakes, as we've been going and evolving. So we have the same sort of concept here. It's like, let's contain this in videos. And the analogy we use, Linda, actually, why don't you explain it, the book analogy?
Okay, I've got a book here. Okay, it happens to be Michael Neal's book. He's always around, isn't he? So here's what we've done with the course. We kind of use this metaphor of a book. So you've got the content of the book, right? This is the juicy bit.
Yeah.
Which is kind of comparable to a coach's grounding. What really is the meat of a coach, like your real grounding. And the book cover is kind of like, how we market ourselves, how we show up in the world. So we put those two together. The course is really about how to have grounding. And we've got some amazing interviews on how to be a deep listener, how to have real presence with a client. And then we've also had fun interviewing a lot of really neat, very successful people at marketing and how to present yourself, how to speak well, how to write great copy, how to, all that stuff, how to sell. Yeah. And so that's like the book cover. So, one without the other, it's not so good. But you put the two together, bingo, you got magic, right? That's where it all is. So that's what the course is about.
Yeah.
How to put those two together.
That sounds incredible, because I remember a time when I was like, a couple of years ago, I thought, I love coaching, but nobody knows you exist, because you.
Yeah.
I was like, what are people going to come and knock on my door and say, is there a coach living here?
Well, this is the problem, isn't it? It's like there's so many brilliant coaches out there, and nobody knows about us. and we wanted to change that, because we struggled for years like that. And I used to have some very dark days, because you know what? You kind of know you've got something valuable to offer. And I used to feel so underutilized, because I'd look at other people doing great stuff and I think, I can do that, but I don't have the confidence, So, or I didn't have the skill sets. And so that's what it is about. Just what you said, Del. It's like, yeah, you're great, you're brilliant, but you've got to let the world know that you are there.
Yeah. Oh my God, that sounds great. So is that an ongoing thing, or is that starting at a certain time? How do you?
Lana, when's it going to start?
We are in the process of finishing it up, of wrapping it up. We have a couple more interviews that we have scheduled that we're doing to complete the book cover portion, but it's coming together within the next couple of months, I'd say it's ready to launch.
I'd say December. Yeah, it'll be, again, it's like the confidence in a box. It's you do it yourself, at home, just watch videos and yeah.
Beautiful.
What's the word? It's free. What is it, Lana?
Self-study, is it?
Self-study. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love it. I was just watching some of the videos right now. I was like, these are good.
Yeah, they are.
I see that you've got some great teachers there. Jamie Smart, Michael, Kathy Casey.
And there's a wonderful interview again with Dickin on. We did an amazing interview with him. I just listened to it again the other day. It's about how it's called The Best CEO You'll Ever Have, and it's all about how to find this divine intelligence to work with you in your business. It's just magical what he says.
I can't wait. It sounds really great. I'm going to have to take a look at that because we always need to sort of broaden, as you say, what's available out there to have us get our messages across, because we do have something special. We do have the answer to so much suffering, and playing small. I keep thinking of the Marianne Williamson quote, but it really is playing small is not helping anybody. Never mind ourselves, but there's so many people we can reach if we know all those, different. I don't really like to use the word techniques but we somewhat do. I mean, we need the book cover, like you said. So I think that's really exciting to offer both the grounding and
I think a lot of coaches, they get some good training in how to coach, and we go over that even more because we have certain sections that we talk about, really dive into presence and 3 circles, which is something we learned about from Patsy Rodenberg, which is brilliant. But we also talk about the vertical versus the horizontal when we coach, because we were trained in the horizontal. We didn't know that, taking people out of the content is where the magic happens. So we really go into that in good depth and cover that. So it's a really complete project we're working on.
The other really good part of this, which I think a lot of coaches really suffer from, Del, is how to find your own voice and carve that out through this work that we do as coaches. And we did a wonderful interview with Michael Neal we asked him how he found his own voice. And that was really good, wasn't it, Lana?
Yeah.
To hear
all the interviews. Yeah. There's always such golden nuggets in each one of them. And reaching out to people, certainly for the cover portion, tapping into people who are really skilled at how to present yourself, how to brand yourself, how to sell, which a lot of coaches kind of recoil from because we're like, no, just give me the coaching. I don't want to do all that other stuff. But really getting into some of the skill sets and what's necessary and what you need to look at for that to really bring your voice out, really show up as a powerful coach that you already are, but you just sometimes don't know how to present it.
Well, I wish I could keep going with you both. It's so lovely to spend time with you. I'm serious. I just feel like I'm out with you girls. So hopefully one day we'll be able to do it in person when we can travel again.
I know.
I know.
It was wonderful seeing you again, and thank you so much. We've come to the end of our time together, but it was fabulous, and I'm really looking forward to that Confident Coach package. I'm going to look into it myself. There was more to learn.
Wonderful.
Thanks for the opportunity, Del. I really appreciate it.
All right.
Boy, it went fast, didn't it?
No, it's so fast.
All the best to you.
And you too.
All right. Much love. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the show. If you're interested in learning more about my coaching and mentoring packages, please reach out to me at deladeyjones@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you.